Blue Hamel, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me here.
Mate, I'm excited to have you here. We caught up, I think, last week at the Brandy Breakfast. We were both on the panel, and I thought it was really interesting, some of the stuff that you talked about with regards to AI and what you were doing with AI, and I thought it would be a great chance to, I guess, to some degree pick your brain, but also I love interviewing creative people and seeing what they're up to, and you had some real cool things that you were doing, so looking forward to having a chat with you. Hey,
Sure.
maybe let's start, where did it all start for you? So you did a degree at Auckland University, the technology?
Yeah, AUT up there. Basically, I grew up here in Christchurch.
Yep.
Kind of did all my schooling here in sport and
Nice.
kind of was in that space. And
Yep.
sport was definitely kind of like my goal and like what I wanted to do.
What sport were you involved in?
Cricket, rugby and basketball.
Yeah, because your dad was quite good at cricket, eh?
Yeah. he
Yeah,
played
I-
a little bit.
When I heard the last name Hamel, I looked up and I was like, oh man, I wonder if it's Mike's son, and it was, eh?
Yeah.
So yeah, your dad was, and obviously one of the best hairdressers in town too, right? Okay.
Yeah, very fortunate. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was kind of like, so that my foundation was here, and then I went up to Auckland for my last year of school.
Yep.
And then kind of wanted to, because I knew I wanted to study up there and go to AUT.
Yep.
And then
So you knew what you wanted to do, like you.
I definitely knew I wanted to be in the like advertising marketing space. That was
Nice.
probably through my parents
Yep.
in their like world, and like
Yeah,
obviously going to fashion shows and kind of being in that branded kind of world, and kind of understanding that was kind of like what I was gravitating to.
Nice.
And at the time, I was already creating content
Yep.
and interested in content.
What sort of content were you creating? Was that kind of natural for you? Were you using iPhones, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it was mostly camera work, so
Yep.
video,
Nice.
photography, bit of like music video stuff, and
Oh, cool.
just kind of in that space
Yeah,
of
yeah.
editing.
Nice.
Um,
So it's quite natural.
yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, as much as you have to learn,
Yeah,
but it was definitely something I like to pick up and just kind of do.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So straight into that with university as well.
Yeah, well, uni, I actually studied business advertising and marketing.
All right. Yeah.
Kind of more on the BCom side. Of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
which was
did you like
interesting.
that? What was that?
I actually kind of started to do some more creative papers, which was
Yeah.
a little bit more interesting. I mean, I like the foundation of business and understanding, obviously, that's where I learned more around marketing, like the
Yeah.
actual like scope and like the specifics around the marketing P's, etc.
Yeah.
So that was really good as a foundation, but then on the side, I was very fortunate to have some contacts to start doing internships. So
Primo.
did that early doors. I didn't really go to uni actually. I was kind of like interning quite
Nice.
heavily. I started with Triumph and Disaster, funnily enough,
Oh yeah.
with Dion
Cool.
Nash
Nice.
through
Yeah.
Dad's
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
which was really great. And
What'd you learn there?
kind of, I was working in a sense of kind of content.
Yeah.
And a little bit of social strategy,
Nice.
and like kind of creative, a bit of art direction, which was really cool. So
Yep.
come up with concepts for them, and then
Primo.
we'd shoot, and then also just stock anything as an intern. You know, like
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
sit there
yeah,
and
yeah.
help with whatever.
Did
it
they
was.
have quite a big marketing team, or were they quite nimble, or what were they using agencies, or?
No, they actually did a lot in house, but it was
Cool.
very small team. So
Yep.
they had at the time like Dion, Reese, and a few of the boys out on the road.
Nice.
But Dion was the brains basically around even
Nice.
like a lot of the creative as well.
I love like that you would have learned quite a lot working for that kind of company though, because
Definitely.
you're doing everything right,
Yeah,
and that's
it's
what, as an
cool.
intern, that's what you want to do, right? You want to be involved in as much as you can.
And then from there, I actually branched into Bauer Media,
Oh
which
wow,
was cool.
Cool.
When they had like
Yeah.
Fashion I was working under Fashion Quarterly,
nice.
so that was cool. Just kind of like understanding the shoot side of things,
Yeah.
editorial, also just running coffees, like anything, which
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
And then from there, got an opportunity to go into Ogilvy, and that
Oh,
was
wow.
where I got my full like
Primo.
advertising,
Yeah, yeah.
content, social.
He's got
Kind
one of his
experience.
books just down there, I think.
Yeah, David.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like what a genius marketing brain, right? And an
Definitely.
advertising brain. Just way they think and the way they the execution was cool.
Yeah.
Really thinking about things. Probably not really done enough these days. I would agree. I think in some of the advertising I've seen coming out these days, it's
Yeah.
really
Interesting. And from there, I kind of started to build. I was working in the creative, like social team culture. So we were doing like working with all Pinot Ricard,
nice.
a lot of Rebel Sport, Powerade, kind of in that space, which was
What
really
do you think your
interesting.
biggest takeaway from working there was?
Learning probably in a market, like in a team of like
Yeah.
team culture, I think
Yeah.
was really big, and
Yeah.
then also like understanding what the client wants and then delivering to what their need was,
Yeah.
which was really cool. And then
Yeah.
it was quite I mean, it was back in 2016, I think I started there. So like social's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But social was starting to grow
Yeah.
within the New Zealand space of
Yeah.
content.
Yeah,
So that was
still pretty
interesting.
new, right?
Yeah, at that time. So that was really good opportunity. But on the side of that, I was always kind of creating content for brands
Yep.
through social,
Yep.
more as a content creator.
Nice.
So that was really interesting. I had a good connection with Adidas and was one of their brand ambassadors.
Nice.
And
And so how do you get involved in that kind of world? Was that you just putting ideas forward, or
Yes,
like
yeah,
you're pitching yourself and your skills to them?
Yeah, what I did was I was really into learning like different ways of video editing techniques.
Nice.
And instead of like being able to do it through the clients I was working through, like Ogilvy,
Yep.
I would want to test it through my own social.
Cool.
So I'd
like it.
take a product and either reach out to the brand or not, and just make it happen and make creative, and then
nice.
they started to come to me.
Nice.
And then taking the techniques that I learned, then I could be like, all brands would come to me now because they see the techniques that I was using.
Yeah.
And from
Smart.
that, it was kind of like a way that I could then test it and then bring it into like the actual advertising world.
Yeah,
If
very
it's
much.
right. Yeah.
Such a good tip, right? Because so many people, like I talk to a lot of young people that come and see me and what should I do? I said, well, go and start creating stuff. Like build up your portfolio. Go and say to a business owner, hey, I've got these ideas for you, you know, and really like back yourself to some degree, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And just dive into it.
Dive
Give
into
an
it.
opportunity.
Yeah, and see where it lands, right? If
Yeah.
anything, you're learning along the way.
And then that was actually what opened up my opportunity to go to New York.
Nice.
Where so at the time I was finishing study and then finished study and started working for Ogilvy full time for a few years as an art director and like content creator in the social team.
Yep.
And then got an opportunity to go work for Adidas in New York through a creative agency called Annex 88.
Okay.
And
Nice.
I connected with the CEO there and we're just like friendly on social. And then he said, would you be interested? Because they saw what I was doing for Adidas anyway.
Nice. And what sort of work were you doing?
For them or Adidas at the time. Oh, in New Zealand?
Yeah.
It was mostly, so when there was a new product released, they would send me the content.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, send me the product, and then I'd create content around that product.
Cool.
So me wearing it or bringing it to life in 3D or whatever
Nice.
it was. And then they saw that kind of, and then that was kind of funny actually. It was super interesting because then after that, I started getting briefs from Adidas, but in those briefs had content from what I'd already created.
Yeah.
Which was kind of
Oh,
cool.
really?
So they were sending me back the brief, which was
Classic.
funny.
Yeah.
And then that's where I got that opportunity to go to New York and work as an art director.
So how old were you when you went to New York?
That was 2018, so I would have been about 21, 22.
Nice. So as a young person, like that's a pretty big step to go to New York
Yeah.
and start working and obviously still learning learning your trade, learning who you are in the marketplace as well. Like, were you well, obviously you would have been excited, were you? But at some stage, like, how was your mindset at that time? Were you like just going to take on the world and you were going to run it down, and or were you still a little bit hesitant, or what was going on?
Not hesitant. I think more just like I was eager to learn more.
Yeah.
And I think that was the
Cool.
thing, that what gave me an
So good.
opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
I think as a young, in any space, like we need to learn from the elders. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people know, obviously there's new things coming up, but there's core elements that we need to learn from like people that have been in the game for a lot longer.
I think that's so true, but being open to learn, that's real key, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love having young people on, right? I love learning stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I know I've got skills to teach as well, and people can learn. But I think it's great that you're open to it, because some people aren't, right? Some people think they know it all, which I find you can't know it all today. Like it's impossible.
Totally.
Unless you're ChatGPT, I guess. But that's another day. So then off to New York, like that must have been hugely exciting, right? Like just
that was an amazing opportunity, and that kind of started to open up my brain a little bit more around like starting to look into creating my own things on the side, to start building my own like clients, and also start using what I was learning within that space to like understand, okay, what do I like about like studios, and what do I like about agencies, and what do you think is better not working in agency, for instance. And in that time obviously I was there for a little bit, 2 years in the end I think it came up, and made some really good connections within the music space as well.
What was your day-to-day like working in New York? What's
I'd actually wake up first thing in the morning, train, like gym. I'm very more around fitness, so train in the morning, then go to the office around 8, and then we'd probably be there till around 8:30 at night most of the time, and then I'd train after that.
Wow.
And then get home around 11, 12, and then
Do
go
it
to
again.
work, and then go to bed and do it again.
Do it again.
Yeah, it's very. That's why I love New York. It's very hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
And people work.
Like when you're working, were you expected to be working? Like, because I've worked in offices where you're supposed to turn up early, leave late, but not everyone's working.
Yeah, it was very just we just had to tick off tasks.
Getting things done, right? Because obviously you're creating stuff too, so you have deadlines.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So what was the company you were working for? It was at
Annex 88. So
cool.
they had a whole bunch of clients actually. So Adidas was one of the, or Adidas they call it, as their main client at the time. But then we had Hugo Boss, a lot of more in the hotel space. They were actually owned by Havas Global, which is another big agency like Ogilvy.
Yeah.
So they got acquired by them, and then we got a lot of their clients as well as more on the creative side.
And how different was it to being here? I always find when I go to the States, they're just a little bit more advanced with us with technology. It's got better obviously as the world gets a bit more global, but I always find going to the States, it opens my eyes and ears to what's really going on in the world when it comes to media, and marketing. Totally. Was that for you? Did you see a massive difference?
I think it was working with a global brand, within New York, but we were actually working to Germany. Yeah. So we had global influence rather than just when you work in New Zealand, when it's with APAC or something, you're only working with New Zealand influence, if that makes sense. You don't actually have so what we worked on, all the briefs that we were doing, so the Kylie Jenner releases, we worked with a lot of the influencer releases. Yeah. So that would build the concept around that then would leverage off into different sectors around the world. Yeah. So that seeing that impact was pretty amazing. Yeah,
and how much more reach of that impact as well, right? Yeah. Where you see it here, it's not as big. Because
a lot of it here is more repurposed content or just different. Budgets are different. Obviously the budgets were back in the 90s or the 80s, the budgets in advertising were 10 times more than they were now. But and especially with social, they don't feel like they need to spend as much. No. But we still had great opportunities to work with amazing artists and amazing connections, which was really cool.
Yeah. You would have seen, obviously, what was one of the favourite campaigns you worked on there? What was some of the stuff you were doing?
We worked on the Falcon release with Kylie Jenner, which was really cool. Wow. We did Stan Smith, worked with Stan Smith for a while, which was cool. A few of his releases. Yeah. Another one, we did Hype Fest, which was really cool. It was Hype Beast had their festival, and then Adidas was one of the main sponsors of that.
It's interesting how that sporting equipment like that, the gear has become part of that fashion.
The streetwear.
The streetwear has really become part of it, and you see even probably the Michael Jordan was one of the first to make the basketball boot kind of people could wear it, and now it's just become huge, right? Totally. It's probably bigger than what they do selling sport gear,
And I think in Adidas, we worked for the Adidas Originals side, so that's all streetwear. It's nothing to do with the sportswear. But we'd tap into the sports team, we did Adidas, the running team in New York. They did cool events with ASAP Ferg, and it was cool doing some connections events with them. And then we did a bit with Y3, got to go to Paris Fashion Week, which was amazing. That was a cool opportunity because that was more the world that I was more connected with my content.
So what were you doing there? Were you creating video content? Were you taking photos? What was
we concepted it all, built the team to then product. So at Y3 we went to the fashion. We had the concepts, and then the team built a team around that to create the content, edit on the stage, edit on the road.
So there must have been a bunch of ideas getting thrown around, who's coming up with stuff and doing this, should we do it this way? Let's do it this way, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, totally. And because I was more the art director at the time, and we had the creative directors that kind of say exactly what they want, and they were okay, cool. my job, for instance, sometimes was like finding a creative that could come onto the job to help that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I love to do, is like, okay, I know the concept that the team wants. Do I know how to bring that to life, or do I know someone who I like in my network that can help bring that to life? And
so
that's where I kind of realised like where my like expertise, like building a team around a project.
Yeah,
and that's what I love to do.
That's what you love doing. Cool.
Yeah.
And why was that? Like, what is just because you could spot talent? Is that or?
Yeah, and also like realising that you can only do certain things yourself.
Yeah, so good.
Like, I wanted to learn how to do everything from the ground up, and you should know how to do that so you can speak to people.
Yeah.
But also putting other people on is great as well,
Yeah.
and bringing them in to like build them up.
It's the best thing, right? Like, and we've got a team here, right? And I always say to people, hey, you know, if we're going to come in and work with you, you can hire a marketing manager, but you can't hire a marketing manager that can do these 10 things really, really well.
Yeah.
And I bring my team like just you do to a movie shoot, or like you would bring into your productions.
Yeah.
We're bringing a team of experts to your game, right? And it's totally more powerful than bringing, say, one marketing manager to the projects, right? So
totally.
Yeah, building a team is so key. Cool that you learned that as well while you're over there. So what starts to go in your mind? You've been there for 2 years. Are you starting to think, I could build my own thing and start to do your own gig?
I kind of, in the back end, I never thought it would become like my only thing at the time.
Yeah.
But actually COVID hit.
Oh, true.
And that's what kind of brought me back.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started freelancing from here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how was that period for you? Because obviously, you're in New York, you're thinking this is great, going to keep going, and then COVID hits, like, crikey.
Yeah.
Like, it's not much fun for anyone, really.
No. But I think it was, for me, it was actually a blessing in the end. Like, realising family means a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was very, like, chasing to get out of New Zealand.
Yep.
I saw there was a lot of opportunity here in New Zealand for work. But also, it gave me time to learn new skills. So that's where I started to dive more into 3D. And become more in the 3D space.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did you start teaching yourself that?
I started to learn softwares a lot more. Like, I'd always tapped in a little bit through, like, I was heavily on After Effects, but then tapped into like a little bit of like Blender and 3D, Cinema 4D. But then over COVID, I dived straight into Cinema 4D and started spending more time. Yeah.
So I guess the application for that, I saw something you did recently for hair candy, like the billboards.
Yeah.
It's amazing, right? How the 3D and 4D kind of coming out of the. Is that like how many hours goes into that sort of stuff?
It's actually not too long. It actually is quite quick when you get the models down and get it kind of like specific.
Yeah.
But it's more concepting it out.
Yeah.
And we just saw that there's like a special rise in CGI content now, bringing brands to life in the real world.
So good.
It's like, instead of spending all the money to, I mean, there's a beauty of having it out there for content awareness and like having it there. But now we can all bring it to life digitally, which is pretty beautiful.
We'll link to on the show notes so people can see some of the work you've done, because it's pretty cool. Like when you see it, it's like, wow, that stands out, right? You must have been pretty proud to see that go live too. Like it's a pretty cool. Was that your brand? Do you own part of that brand?
Candy's my sister and I's
nice
product. We started to build it through my dad, obviously, in the hair space, and then we had the opportunity to build our own product. So we started to build our brand around that and around her kind of expertise and client base. And bringing to life, basically 100% natural hair product made from sheep's wool keratin.
That's cool.
Closest to the human keratin as possible, and more sustainable, trying to be as eco-friendly as possible, especially in this like environment in this world. But then also bring it to life in an interesting new way.
Yeah, true. I think you did that. Like it looks really cool. So you've got a few things you got going on.
Yeah.
I read your bio on LinkedIn because I thought it was really interesting. But it says NFT next to your name. Explain that to me.
In general?
Yeah. Well, just like we've got a lot of listeners here. And I know we're going to talk about the gin that you've created and stuff, and I just want to get your take on everything when it comes to NFTs, and I think it would help my audience maybe understand it, because for some of them it could be the first time they're hearing about it. So I think it's you're the only person I've seen on LinkedIn that has that next to their name.
Yeah.
So what does NFTs mean to you, and where do you see the future for that?
For sure. I mean, obviously crypto in the crypto space. It's been a rise in the last 5 years. but also in the digital space, digital art has started to grow.
Massively.
And there was only a way to like make digital art legitimate and sellable through NFTs. So basically, it is a token that is, you've got like a crypto wallet that's connected to the NFT that you purchased through crypto.
Yep.
And through that, you are the only person in the world that owns that, and it's got an address to that. And from that, if you sell that, that's all tracked digitally.
Yeah.
So that means, like, for instance, if I buy the Mona Lisa, I own the Mona Lisa. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and you can see that through digital. So that's been a really big thing, especially in the 3D space, is like artists being able to become true artists and respected in that space. And
so no one can just copy it and say, I did that, you know. It's like, actually,
this is the true piece.
It's
like a print in the real world. You can make a print of any artwork, but it's not the real artwork.
No.
So that's been pretty amazing. So I was kind of diving into that space, building projects for clients, also doing my own projects.
Yep.
And then at the same time, my business partner, Luke Dawkins, who actually started Gin on New Regent Street,
nice.
or started on Victoria Street. He's an expert within the like alcohol space. He came to me a few years prior to that, and was like, but prior to the boom of NFTs and crypto, and said, I'd love to take in your expertise in branding and kind of just more in that space and content. I'd love to bring to life a gin brand. And we started talking, and we actually were going to launch pre-COVID, and at the time it was just didn't really work. So we with like packaging and stuff, and we weren't quite happy. So we spent that time like researching and getting it specifically right. And at the time, that's when I started diving into NFTs, and I was working in that space and selling and buying, and then I was like, why don't we just build this as an NFT and launch it? Basically, like as a pre-ordering system. And so we built our brand as a launch into the NFT space. We made artwork, and then we started to sell them as our first run. And we got invited to New York NFT, Bali, where we actually launched in Bali, and we started to build like a network around the brand. And it really got us a brand voice without spending any, as a startup, you obviously don't have the marketing
because
budgets.
it was an NFT, and so it was seen as something different.
That basically just got the word. It was like we leveraged off that word at the time because it was prime. It was like,
well, there was loads of coverage on it, right?
It's like AI right now. It's like spoken about, so everyone puts it in their YouTube thumbnails. Basically that's what the NFT was for us. So
the gin though, so you say on the website you created the world's first NFT tokenized gin.
Correct.
So very good.
We were the world's first NFT gin. There was other alcohols out there like like I think Hennessy also launched. I did an NFT at the time. Like a lot of the big brands started doing it.
So good.
And a few Volkers, but we just saw an opportunity in the gin space because gin was at that time was still, obviously there's a huge rise here in New Zealand.
The brand though, it looks so slick, like the black, Look, it looks so good. So where is it now? Like because I see you've got a club and all that sort of stuff. Explain how the business model works around it.
So what the future of what we were trying to build from that, we had 100 NFTs that we sold initially, and that was our pre-ordering kind of like membership club. And basically what we want that to turn into still hasn't really, we obviously built out a Discord and started to build the community, and they're like our early adopters. But hopefully in the future they all get NFT. We have these business kind of like hard cards. They're kind of like made out of metal. And what we want for them to kind of be, and what we propose for them to be, is like our retailers or our bars that stock our product allows, if an NFT holder comes in and uses that, they get either a free drink on entry, which would be yen, or it depends on what we wanted to have. We discuss that with the bar and talk about it with them. And it might be discounts, but that will all ramp up when we start to grow a little bit more and start to be able to understand that a bit better. But it was kind of like also just a way to start building a community early on. And
the gin itself, good gin.
Luke has made an amazing gin.
I'm going to try it.
We've won a few awards actually.
Which really?
Has been quite good.
Has he got it at the bars?
Yeah, he does, but I'll drop a bottle off.
Okay,
for sure.
That sounds good. I love gin. I love drinking it. I love smelling and tasting it. It's definitely, yeah, you're right. Like it's just gone that way, right? And different tonics and all that sort of stuff. But I love the bit how you created, a business model that's going to grow as more and more people know and understand it, right? And I think the coolest thing is, as a young person, you kind of understand where everything's going there and how it might play out. And obviously you just have to stay in the queue with it too, right?
Yeah.
And, as it grows.
I think the beauty of it was that it was digital initially to release, but it also was physical.
Yeah.
So they were the first people to get the physical bottle.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's a leverage into the digital space, but also we are a physical product. So that was the beauty of it.
Yeah,
that makes sense, because you actually get something out of it.
Yeah, totally.
Instead of like a little like merchandise, it's
Yeah.
like this is actually like what the product is.
Yeah.
So that's what we're pushing now. Now we've got it out in the market. Now it's just starting to build from there.
And how are you getting it out into the channels? Through the traditional channels?
Yep, we've been working with a distributor at the time, tokenised up in Auckland, and then now just trying to take it in a little bit more in-house and like push it a bit more. Now we've got it out there, but it's just getting more awareness.
I think it would land real nice on social, right? Like it's good. The bottle's cool. There's some real cool stuff you could do, obviously, with your skills and I like the philosophy around it too, around yen and what that means, in Japan and all that. Like it's pretty cool. There's a cool story there.
Yeah.
Okay, so mate, you got lots going on. What's your passion though? Like, what do you really love about the marketing space as we see it, marketing and advertising today? What do you really love?
I love to build worlds around products.
Yeah.
That's why I dived into the 3D space.
Nice.
Kind of being able to bring things to life that you can't really do in physical.
Yeah.
And do in real.
Yeah.
So that's been a beauty of like understanding of how can we bring to life the dream of what the client wants, and we do it in 3D. Yeah. Which has been cool, and then also just kind of speaking to an audience in a new way and pushing new brands in a way to sell, and like not selling through like for instance, the old terms of advertising, like selling through sex or selling through all those things. It's actually selling through like a desire for a product because it actually will make your life better. Or it will actually be true to that. And that's what I've tried to do with being very truthful about things and open about things in the space of like marketing and how we actually speak to the client, but also making it like amplifying with the world that I'm doing. So it's been pretty cool opportunity.
Do you see that the consumer is changing when it comes to how they engage with marketing? And
Definitely.
You talked about being more truthful and stuff, and I think over the years, some brands and some products really haven't been, right. And the more transparent we can be, the better it is for obviously everyone. But the more brands that are doing that, the better it is for them too.
I think so, yeah, for sure. Because nowadays we have everything at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Like we can find out all the back end of anything.
Totally.
So you have to be super straightforward. So if you are saying you're 100% natural product, you have to be 100% natural. Yeah.
No shortcuts.
Yeah, there's no, especially with the consumers, especially in New Zealand, because I think we're a lot more like, it's how we've grown up, and we understand things from the ground up, that we want to look after environment. We want to also know that the brand isn't testing on animals or whatever it is. So people are a lot more truthful to what they're doing, because I think they also, it's not just the image, but if you are trying to be like a truthful person, you don't want to be working with a brand that's not, if that makes sense.
No, exactly.
Especially as like creators now as well, just like making sure it's not for just working with them because you're getting paid or something. It's more about actually because you actually love that product.
And you do a better job when you do as well.
Totally.
Yeah,
you actually put in the work.
You put in the work, you put in the effort, you put in everything because you see the alignment, you feel the alignment, right? So sorry, around that consumer, like you definitely see it change. You've seen it changing or see it changing?
Definitely, especially in the last, probably, I would say definitely with in the space of the hair care products. Yeah. Like knowing that there's a lot more awareness out there that you don't want to put nasty things into your head. Yeah. Because what happens from there, and people are a lot more aware around product. I'm sure that you've noticed, but these hydroflasks, people, I've been a sucker for plastic.
I've got one of those.
My partner got me one of these, and it's really just changed the game, and people...
Made of a wooden toothbrush.
Yeah.
It's completely changed. my wife that buys all that sort of stuff, and I dig it. I get it. You know?
Definitely.
Look, one of the reasons I bought this is because I was sick of going through paper. You know, so I bought this, and this is like normally I'd go to meetings and I'd have maybe 6 notebooks on the go because I'm going to all these different meetings. Yeah. And I just realised, man, I'm just burning through paper. Why not get one of these? You know?
This is so smart.
So for me, yeah, I definitely get it. I reckon also like the mobile phone has changed everything too, right? The way people consume, you know, content is completely changed.
Oh,
you
definitely.
know?
Yeah.
And you know, I think attention span has changed too, right? So if you are not doing things to get attention, if you're not leveraging 3D, if you're not doing all this sort of stuff to actually get yourself seen by people or seen by, you know, your brand getting the eyeballs, you're gonna miss out. Like it's completely changed, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's we're over-consumed with content. So we need to like connect with the consumer within like the first 3 seconds. Yeah. Especially if you're trying to like sell or just entertain that consumer, we have such a quick turnaround time now. So we can just get content from everywhere.
Totally.
Yeah. So I think that's where we've started to learn. I mean, I've started to learn with the rise of like other products, like I mean, in the space of AI right now, figuring out how to leverage off the new tools that are coming out. So that's what I do every day. Like I put aside at least every night, like an hour or two to listen and learn about new tools. Yeah. And it's something that I really love to do and just kind of be ahead and understand from there.
I was at the bookshop the other day and I met a young girl in an interview and she said, "Oh, have you read this book?" And it was about ChatGPT and it was about prompting and all this sort of stuff. And I said, "No, I hadn't." And as you can see, I love books. So I went to the bookstore that night and bought it. And I bought this other book, and one was around killer ChatGPT prompts and stuff. And I remember going up to the counter, and I had these 2 books, and I went to pay, and the lady goes, "Oh, you're into that, are you?" and I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" She goes, "Oh, you're into that stuff, are you?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "Oh, that chat stuff." And I was like, yeah. And she goes, "Oh, that AI, that's really dangerous." And I said, "Oh, well, so what do you mean by that?" She goes, "Oh, well," and I said, "How do you know it's dangerous?" She goes, "Well, you know, it's going to take our jobs." And I said, "Well, is it really going to take yours?" And she thought about it there for a second. She goes, "Well, probably not, but aren't you worried?" I said, "Well, I see you can sit on 2 sides. You can be really worried about it, or you can be really curious and embrace it." And it's a conversation I've had with a lot of people about it, but I just thought it was funny that she says, "Oh, you're into that, are you?" I thought she was like I was into some sort of cult or something. Like it was quite a hard case. So let's talk about AI then. Totally. Like, where do you see it going? And what do you say you're learning on a daily basis? Yeah. Ideally, I think that's you've got to be. You've got to be across it. We did some stuff with our team we'll talk about as well. But where do you see AI and where it sits now and where it could go?
Totally. I think where it sits now is right at the start. Yeah. So if you haven't dived into it yet, dive into it now and learn as much as you possibly can. Yeah. And
where's the best place to go to learn?
I mean, I follow a lot of YouTube channels. Yep. Matt Wolf is probably my favourite for tools. Yep. I listen to the AI Breakdown, which I would say is the best because it's 5 minutes podcast. It does 5 minutes, about 10 minutes podcast in the mornings. Yep. And what they do is they break down what's happened that week or that day in AI.
Wow. What's it called?
It's called the AI Breakdown.
AI Breakdown.
Yeah, on podcast or any podcast channel, streaming channel. And that really just opens up to like, okay, general knowledge. So, for instance, what's happening in this space with like Grok going public. Yep. So everyone open sourced. Or something around like Gemini 3 that's just released. Or the NVIDIA conference right now.
Yeah, Primo. Yeah, so daily dose of getting up to date on everything that's going on. And look, I reckon you don't actually have to understand it too. You just have to get involved. Totally. Because the more, it's like mastery, the more you do stuff, the more you'll start to learn, the more curious you'll think, and something will land for you. And you'll start to go, oh, okay, I'm going to go and learn more about that.
Totally, and I don't think it's, to be honest, I don't think it will take some jobs. It will take some mundane jobs.
I think manufacturing's been in big trouble.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. And I totally think that, but I also think it will just cut down work time.
Yeah.
So what I think is like a business owner right now or in that space is instead of telling your staff members like, you guys should watch out for AI or run away from it, learn about it and see what helps benefit us. Yeah. And why don't we just all use it and it'll make us be able to do 6 jobs at once. Yep. And I think that's what you said, Scott, with your team, that you're giving them a chance to put some time aside to help
find
their work.
Find an hour a week. That was the task last year. Find an hour a week. And everyone went away and found more than 1 hour, and came back going, hey, we could do this, we could do this. And it was real stuff, like simple stuff, but, we take a lot of photos, we have to sort manually through that. Sarah found a piece of software called Aftershoot that's powered by AI, and it does the heavy lifting for us. So we'll go and sort all the photos, put them into folders. So cool, right? Like, and there's tons of those little time-saving pieces of software.
Like for us in the VFX space, it's in Adobe Firefly, they've got like a rotoscoping tool now. They literally just click on something and it'll rotoscope it out. It's like straight away for you, instead of spending hours of trying to rotoscope like a cone out of a shot because they don't want a cone, or like change someone's top into a different color. This will, or like comp someone out. This will change that, and it'll cut down our work time, so then we can be more creative on this side.
And the coolest thing about that is that it saves you time, but also saves you money. Because if you had to go and get some talent to put that top on again, then you got to go pay that talent, right? So you can actually leverage what you're doing. And look, those tools, they're there for use. They're all there. You just got to go find them. I said to my team now, we've got presentations. We do presentations once every 90 days. We do a 10-minute presentation each person on what they've been learning. And this time the presentations are all around cinema task. Hey, go and find an AI tool that you can use it for your specific job, and let's do a presentation on that. So cool. and how much time it will save, and giving us the pros and cons of it too, not just hey, we're just doing stuff because we love it or think it's great. Okay, this is good, but here's why it's good, or here's actually why it's not good. Because I think you've got to sit on both sides when you're talking about AI as well.
Yeah, totally. And that's what I'm learning. Like, I mean, I use a lot of image creation and video content creation. So, for instance, around like Mid-Journey for image creation, and storyboarding for a lot of brands and clients, and then also like Stable Diffusion, Pika Labs, and Runway AI for video content. Which is
crazy how that is getting better and better, though.
Like Sora, have you seen the stuff coming up for Sora?
So one of the things I did last year is I recorded like a couple of conversations that I had, and then made myself an avatar. And played a presentation here to the team, and they were like, "Oh yeah," and I said, "Well, that's not me." And everyone was like, "What?" And it just looked like me, right? And it just had all your facials and all your hand movements, and it's crazy.
What did you use for that? DID
Gene something.
Oh yeah, not DID.
No, but it was like I was blown away by it, right? Like how, and I was just playing around. If you really wanted to get good at it, you could get super good at that.
And see, that's also it's becoming an expert. Like, you need to be an expert. Like, you can be a prompter. But if you put in the wrong prompt, it doesn't actually do what you actually want. No, so you have to understand how to prompt properly.
I'm lucky enough to be in a group with some guys in America, and we were doing a conference on the weekend. And my God, like, these guys had 30 odd prompts lined up inside a Zapier connection to ChatGPT, plus they had the person had done a disk profile, and that information had been put in there first for creating content. It was unbelievable how accurate and the content that was being created was next level because of the mastery of the prompting.
So that's what takes time. But if you master that, then you can replicate that and use that.
Well, he reckons that they've been building that for 6 months. And they've been building it, breaking it, and then putting all this stuff together to now, to the point where we'll be able to take the podcast content and turn it into a book. They've got it that dialed in, which
that's incredible. And that wouldn't have happened 5 years ago.
No.
But it's the same as I think when people say, "Oh, we should be scared about AI," but were you scared about the digital space? Were you scared about the internet? And you probably were, and that's why businesses...
Man, I started when the internet was dial-up.
And if a business came out online, they're like, why do we need to be on social? Like, why? And now everyone's on social.
I fully remember when I had my SEO business, or we would get rung up because John Campbell, this is dating me, but John Campbell would be on TV at night saying about Twitter. And we were writing Yellow Pages ads. We were doing SEO and we were writing Yellow Pages ads, and people were like just ringing up saying, I need you to create a Twitter. And like there was like pizza restaurants and stuff. I'm like, why do you need a Twitter account? Oh, John Campbell said Twitter's the next thing, right?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe how, there's obviously people, there's people that just sit on the sidelines, do nothing, and then there's these people that just want to run with it too, right? So, yeah, I think good advice. Get involved. Do something daily. Like, don't be afraid to. So we should, obviously, you got the Matt Wolf, and you got, where else can people come and learn stuff?
I mean, for me, those are probably the best places because I'm more on the creative side.
Yeah.
But just dive into OpenAI.
Yeah.
Get on probably ChatGPT 4, which is the premium, which is $20 a month.
$20 a month.
But you get access to all the plugins, access to the GPTs that have been created, which are cool. So there's a store within the space that people are creating for specific work. So for instance, SEO.
Yeah.
If you wanted to build they've built their own specific like GPT within ChatGPT to like help that amplify. And that's how I've started to build my own chatbot system. So building chatbots for clients where if you come onto a website and want to have a conversation with a chat on the website, this is trained off whatever the business wants to be trained off and how to sell to the consumer, how to have a conversation to the consumer, and it feels like they're speaking to a human. But they know that it's not, because then it'll be like, you train it to be like friendly, but also then if they have more questions, put them in touch with one of the sales guys.
So question then, because I've got a client that could use this, like how would you train that chatbot? Like do you give it data? Do you give it conversations? Do you give it,
So anything. So I can train it by prompts. So saying like, we want to, so for instance, if you're the sales rep for them and you are a charismatic person that loves to have a conversation but also wants to sell, it depends on what the product is. We can also strip the website and whatever the information on there, like the FAQs. Nice. We also put in PDFs. Anything you want, any data that you want, we can train this. And it'll scrape it all and understand it. And you can teach it, and you can also test it.
Do you find it's quite conversational?
Very conversational.
That's cool.
So, for instance, it'll be like if you dive in, you'll be like, for an e-commerce brand or something, and you're on for a clothing brand. You're like, I'm looking for a black shirt. What options have you got on this site? And they're like, we have these options. But we actually have this as well that I feel like would go really well with it.
Nice.
So you can do all that as well. You can teach it to upsell or whatever it is, whatever you want it to do, and create leads. I think that's the lead generation, especially for a lot of these brands and businesses out there. They're trying to create leads all the time. Yeah. And these type of chatbots will really help create leads. Yeah.
And the more conversation. Look, here's the thing: the more people start to use this sort of stuff. It might be a wee bit new now, but in 5 years' time, it'll just be commonplace, right? Totally. It'll be conversational, be like you're talking to someone in the store, but you're not. Like it'll end up getting that way, right?
We'll all have our own AI assistant. Yeah. So
I reckon that's the opportunity too.
Yeah, there's Rabbit and Humane AI. Yeah. If you guys have seen a Humane pin. And the Humane pin sits on you, and basically you can ask it any question. They're actually ex-Apple guys that have started this new product. Rabbit's really cool as well because it can connect to ChatGPT, it connects to your phone as well, and it basically it's like a personalised Siri.
Nice.
If that makes sense. Or personalised like AI chat. Yeah. And like Samsung right now is really pushing, which is great because I work quite a lot with Samsung, which is really cool and had an opportunity. But they're bringing AI into their phones.
Primo.
So now you can, it's crazy. Their new S24 Ultra is basically you can take a photo and you can take out anything in that photo. Yeah. You can, and like it's just game changer for a lot of things. Yeah. It's changing everything, which is really cool.
Which is it's amazing where it's going and it just keeps getting better, right? But I'm thinking you don't have to look at your own habits and how those habits have changed over the years, right? When you go to the supermarket, not every time you go through the checkout, Sometimes you might, but a lot of times you might just go to the other checkout, and if you're in a high convenience area, there are no checkout people. That's just the way it is, And so our habits are slowly changing as well. And like I just know from my son, like the way he communicates and the way, if his grandparents are over and they're searching something, and he'll just grab their phone and start talking to it and get the information,
Yeah, totally.
Everything's, where they're sitting there going, So habits have changed as well.
But I think I was talking at the marketing conversation that we had the other day, around like in brands and social and AI, it's really good internally to use the tools and help create content. But it's also really good to keep that human touch and that personal touch as a brand. But internally to cut down, especially as a startup, like I can do 6 jobs now within the space of the normal time that I was normally doing things.
Oh, fully.
And that really helps, but I don't think you lose that human touch.
No, and I think, like I learned a long time ago, conversations create conversions. So use these tools, these chat tools, etc., to create a conversation that you can then turn into a conversion by get the conversation started, right? We do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of that with MiniChat. We get the conversation started. It's choose your own adventure type stuff. Having conversations with people, and then you can slip into that conversation and actually help people with what they really need.
And that's where I think with the lead it really helps, because hypothetically, if you're a law firm, for instance, or accounting firm, you have this chatbot on your site. Someone comes there, or get all the information from them already, and then be like, actually, this is what we want to take on. We don't want to take, or we don't need to take this on, and we'll point you in another direction. Or you don't actually need a lawyer for this case. Hypothetical.
I reckon that'd go really well in recruitment, because you have to, with the recruitment, you have to do a lot of pre-work to get to qualify people. In and out, right? So that would go really well in recruitment, especially high volume.
There's an idea.
Totally. Cool, man. Hey, this is exciting stuff. You definitely, do you feel grateful that you live in the world we now? Like with what your skills and what you love about what you do.
Definitely, I think it's been amazing, and diving into different spaces, like understanding that there's so much opportunity in different worlds, and that's why I still go back to the States. I do a lot of work in LA now in the music space. So we do a lot of like VFX and CGI with music videos and working with clients.
Pretty nice.
So that's kind of like my main thing. And then when I'm here, just learning about, okay, what's over there that we can also help bring back to New Zealand. And I think there's a lot of opportunity. And New Zealand's actually ahead on a lot of things too. But there's also a lot of things popping up right now that people don't know about globally.
So when you go to the States, what sort of, when you go to LA and stuff, what are you looking at? What are you doing on a daily there?
Mostly actually I just work the same as here. I'm like working from my computer or whatever. But just kind of tapping in and seeing like how things are working over there. They're still very behind on a lot of things too. But just kind of seeing like where the brands are sitting with their content, where they want to go next. But I'm more I think being in the more music space, which has been great, because they push the boundaries. Like you can push the boundaries a lot more than a brand. So a lot of the referencing from like a client then comes back from like a music video edit or something like that too. So it's great.
Because you're gonna have to push the envelope a little bit, right?
Definitely.
I really like what Thomas talked about the other day from Two Dudes, right? Humour at the top of the funnel. So good. Such a good use of understanding of what it takes to get the eyeballs, right?
Totally.
Because and then Carsten, the cost of basically being dull is missed opportunities, right? And losing money. If you're dull these days, you're kind of going to be gone, right? So you have to be pushing that envelope. So it's a good learning ground for you to be in that music space, because what sells a music video apart from obviously good lyrics and what?
It's more eye candy now. Because obviously back in the day it was like the way that people would. I mean, back in the day, MTV was a big thing, right?
Massive.
So people use music videos to really feel in touch with their artist. But now you get in touch with the artist on Instagram, so it's completely different. I think now it's more just bringing to life what that artist was trying to say through their lyrics. And then bringing to life eye candy. So that's why we like to do it.
And it's a real expression piece for them now too, right? Because maybe they weren't. Maybe they don't get as well. They didn't. There was a stage where they really never got. We didn't have control of their music to some degree, right? And having social media kind of given that back to them a wee bit. Plus, then creating their own channels, their own brands as direct to consumer now, right? Like they all got taken away, but then brought back really quickly via these platforms, and also even more now, like with the likes of the blockchain and NFTs and stuff. There's some real creative stuff that they can do to create that community with their fans, right, and give them even closer experience.
I mean, now you see a lot more artists that are fully independent. That can still survive.
Totally.
And still do their thing, and it's hard sometimes, and it's harder, but there is a lot more opportunity to do so. Like Kanye at the time, obviously a controversial topic with him, right? But he had no other way of, I mean, he got in a really bad deal.
Yeah.
And that's why he's now had to push into other worlds, like clothing and do all that stuff to then make his, make his money instead of being in the true space that getting paid for what he should be for his music. Yeah.
Oh man, like, and the coolest part about that is, like it's kind of a win-win for everyone, like with that environment, right? Versus probably a bit of a win-lose, and it was a win for the record brands, but not so much for the artist, But so that's cool. So how often are you going over there?
I've been going for the last 2 years. Been doing LA quite often, 6 or 7 times a year. But now a little bit dialed back because I only go when there's work. So I'm actually going back to New York for NFT. Hopefully, trying to get there for New York NFT. Yep, should be cool because we're working on a project for a client at the moment for that. And then just tap back in when I can. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Cool. So, what's your days look like here? I just it's real gym, work, and then just like work from the computer, which is great. So I can actually work from anywhere. So do you? What sort of clients do you take on then? Like if someone was listening and they've got an idea, what's it involved in engaging you? Like how does it all work? I mean, my background's art direction, so I do a lot of like brand, like especially here, to help with like branding, website creations, and then content. Cool. Maybe helping around 3D animation if they have if they want to educate the consumer and we want to bring it to life in that way. Nice. Now with Outer, my creative agency that I'm doing here, we're doing a lot more like the CGI stuff that we probably should link so they but where it's just bringing brands to life in a new way. That's cool. For social. So that's been what I'm really pushing here for clients here because there's an opportunity to do so. And you're working with the likes of who here? Like who do you still the Adidas and still not Adidas as such now, more Samsung on my personal content. Cool. But actual brands, I work digital influence. People of influence, like connecting with a few clients, which is really cool. So we're doing like Long White. Cool. And I've seen some of the stuff you're doing alcohol there. Space, which is cool. Yeah. And a few other projects coming up, which is great. And then just kind of diving into contacts that I have within the ad world still here. Yeah. And then on the side of that, we're doing like show visuals and tour visuals for artists in the States. Primo. So doing that a lot at the moment too. So good to see someone creative like doing what they love and pushing the boundaries of everything too. So hey man, this has been a great chat. Is there anything else you want us to know about what's going on in the world with AI and all that sort of stuff? Like I think we've covered a lot, and I know the listeners will be they'll be going to check out all those sites that you've recommended. That's for sure. But is there anything else that comes to mind that people should be looking for? I think, like I said, just don't be afraid of it. I think just learn it, and then see how you can leverage off it and benefit from it. Yeah. And within the company, go up to your agent or go up to your hires and say, like, we should be using this. This is actually going to amplify us. Yeah. And make us a stronger and more beneficial company. Yeah. And then also and then realizing the negatives and positives of all things and the market's changing. Yeah. But personally, I think it's fun to learn new things. Yeah. Yeah. And like you aren't stopping it, right? Like it's not going away. Not now. And Google hasn't even got involved, right? Yeah. No, they have. Yeah. But not as big as what they could be doing, right? Like back in 2018, did you ever hear that conversation they had with the Hair Studio? Like they used their AI to They really haven't released that. True. So imagine when they release what they fully can do, Yeah. I was some guys in the States showed me some stuff that was barred at the time, but it was pretty cool. Some of the instinct to the Google ads and stuff like that. Yeah. I think you're going to see content around, SEO will probably become more generative kind of SEO, where you'll see a lot more videos in the search page. Definitely. You'll see a lot more links to all the AI. You're already starting to see that with Microsoft and Bing and stuff. Yep. So I think that space will change. It'll probably, the search as we know it will probably change. There won't be as many links on the page. Totally. There'll be more video, and videos linked to YouTube. Yeah. I think they'll really build that out as more people want to consume video and get the answers. But it definitely searching
change forever with the likes of ChatGPT, right?
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely think video. I mean, Sora is going to, if that comes out and gets released properly, it's going to change with prompting and just being able to write a prompt and a video gets made.
Yeah.
I think it will definitely, I mean, I know that like the VFX space is kind of in like the film production, like over in America and Hollywood.
Yeah.
I know they're a little bit more iffy about it.
Yeah.
Also a few people with the, like the main bigwig of OpenAI talked about Sora and like how they're training it, trying to find out all that stuff. I think it's just, I think people want them to be a lot more open, and then from there, like learning next what's like what you can do from there, you know, after understanding it, and then diving into it, and then being like, okay, this is actually something I like. Because also the other thing is because it is a lot out there right now, and it's a phase. There are a lot of tools out there that are not useful.
Like, some rubbish stuff.
Yeah. Right? So it's just like going in and trying it a little bit, or listening about someone.
They've bought the domain name .ai.
I know.
So you've got to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, definitely getting in and kind of understanding it and then learning from there.
Nice. Right, man. Hey, this has been a great chat. If people want to find you, where do they go?
Either hit me up on social or Outer CGI. But half of nothing.
Half of nothing. I love that. Yeah. Half of nothing. Yeah, that's
which
cool.
Which actually means nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So good though. So hey, we'll link to everything on the show notes as well. But hey, man, I really appreciate you coming and sharing with us. So I love hearing the insides of what's going on and talking to creative people, because I think, you know, the world. It's a small place, but at the end of the day, as Kiwis, you know, I always find it fascinating where Kiwis are doing stuff. You know, you're in New York as a young fella, you're off to going to LA, really pushing the boundaries of your skills and your potential. So I think that's awesome, and I think it's cool that you're prepared to share it and you're prepared to learn as well. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, all right, guys and girls, appreciate you listening to the Marketing for Business podcast. Hey, if you really like this episode, here's the only thing I need you to do, and that's share it. You know, share it with one of your team members. You know, if you're listening to this and you're wanting to know a wee bit more about AI and what's got on hold for you and your business, you know, share it with another business colleague that you have. So share the podcast. It allows us to help more people in the community. Once again, we were back at #1 recently, so that only happens because of you guys listening. So I really, really appreciate that. Until then, take time, have some fun, and as always, take action.